Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be diving into a reaction from MMObyte. This is the Blue Protocol and Throne and Liberty are sadly already failing. And this is a topic I think that's near and dear to me as somebody who has been following these games for a while, who has covered these games in various different capacities, and who has actually played both of these games. And as I wait for the global release, there's always that kind of looming question, especially around any games as a service game. One of the things that we tend to see more often than not is that a lot of games, especially MMOs, have a lot of hype behind them. And then once people go hands on with it, it ends up kind of falling into kind of more of a seasonal style model. Now, you might not like that. You know, like overall, I think a lot of us consider ourselves MMO nomads where we're just trying to find that next big thing, that next lifelong game, essentially, which is always kind of a curious discussion in and of itself. But let's, without further ado, let me go ahead and like his video and let's go ahead and jump into it. We can discuss it along the way as we usually do. If you guys enjoy these videos, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos, and comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this subject and what he has to say, and hopefully what we have to talk about in this video.
NCSoft Q4 2023. Guild Wars 2 is a bright spot for NCSoft.
Guild Wars 2 is great.
Throne and Liberty stumbles, which means it's up to Amazon to save the game. Bandai Namco reports year-over-year sales drop, admitting Blue Protocol JP significantly fell short, which means it's up to Amazon to save the game. And taking a look at the other games that Amazon own or operate, New World with 9,924 players in game right now with a 14,000.
So that again is one of the things that I'm gonna just jump in on. That does not represent like the active player base. That just represents that snapshot in time. You take the concurrent number, you multiply it by 7 to 11, and it's going to give you the range. You can also go look at the hours played and go from there. But also right now, this is a season of big games. So you see, like with on his chart, the line that jumps up and down. So the real important factor in all of these games is, do they continue to invest, add content, and more? Now, the best thing to do is that when you're feeling down in here, take a break, play something else. And then when content drops, come check it back out again. That is the way. That is the real truth about all of it.
669 player peak, and Lost Ark with 48,461 players online right now, and a 61,246 player peak. Maybe betting on Amazon was not the right choice. Now, I have been talking very positively about Blue Protocol ever since it was announced, I think all the way back in 2019, so 5 years ago. I've also been talking very highly of Project TL, which was what Throne and Liberty was before it rebranded into Throne and Liberty. Both games I was very excited for. I'm still kind of excited for Blue Protocol, given I did enjoy the Japanese beta test and the Japanese launch. I just felt like there wasn't really like an abundance of things to do. Guild Wars 2 has always done exceptionally well, I think, for NCSoft. I think the Lineage MMOs have always done moderately well. Ion has always, or at least for the last several years, has underperformed. Blade and Soul has underperformed. Throne and Liberty was supposed to be their next big MMO, the next big moneymaker for them. But according to Massively OP, who actually sourced the NCSoft IR and RuliWeb, Q4 NAEU sales grew by 15% quarter over quarter due to strong sales of Guild Wars 2, which I'm sure almost nobody ever thought they would hear. So that's a welcome tidbit. During the investor call, NCSoft was taken to task for masking those per game revenues as well as for revealing no revenue data for Throne and Liberty. For whatever reason, they have chosen to hide the revenue for Throne and Liberty. I'm pretty sure we can all guess why that is the case, which launched in Korea in the middle of the quarter. NCSoft told investors that Throne and Liberty, and this is the most important part of the entire investor call, the entirety of the revenue report, Throne and Liberty had underperformed, and that they are working on sorting out the game's rocky launch. However, it looks as if NCSoft is banking more on Amazon's global release to save the game. So
the money that I would wonder that is going to get infused into them, if that isn't necessarily like the wrong call, because like I can't recall an MMO that has launched that this isn't the story, that saying that they have underperformed or run into issues, etc. I think even if we were going to extrapolate this out beyond the MMORPG, let's talk about like Helldivers 2. Like, it's incredible, and it's going to be the exception rather than the rule, in which that people continue to go and try it out. And also, I think there's another aspect to that where you're talking about a game that already had like, some already game that existed out there. Throne of Liberty, I think, can bank off the lineage. Blue Protocol doesn't have that nostalgia, but it does tie into like anime nostalgia because of just its art direction alone. Now, I don't think it's necessarily wrong to say, or think that it's weird to say, that Amazon, could possibly quote unquote save the game, but this would also be a very telling aspect that if it doesn't get enough player interest, I do wonder what we will see from Amazon, and that will tell us kind of what their expectations are and where their line in the sand is. They continue to say that they're, all in on gaming, and I think New World shows that. A lot of people look at that number and it's like, all right, like that's who's currently playing this game. That number goes up, that number goes down. They release expansions, that number goes up. They add marketing, number goes up. There's a lot of factors that are all at play and a lot of things that are at work, especially as it relates to, like, the perfect MMO is the MMO that we know nothing about because it lives only in our heads. So, like, at the end of the day, like, I'm overall more and nothing else curious to see how it's received when they do start talking about it, and how does it, because we know there's no matter what, there's going to be a dip. I would not go out on a limb and say Throne of Liberty is going to be the exception rather than the rule. I think it's going to follow the rule, in which that you're going to see a big hype. The free-to-play model in and of itself will make the doors open wide for a lot of people to try out the game, driving up those numbers, getting those kind of headlines. And then the downside of those headlines is, well, when the numbers go down, then you have the same kind of thing. We've seen this with Palworld, which that's the game that we constantly are playing here at the house. Great game. I don't really care about the numbers. The question is that will they continue to invest and support the game? And I think that would be my ultimate dream within the world of content creation.
Just want to point out here, Korean players who this game directly targets, first and foremost as a Korean MMO, hate the game. Nobody wants to play it. Why would we? I'm sorry. The game has been poorly received. The game has done poorly. They have openly admitted that it underperformed, and Amazon are going to publish this game in the hopes that we play it and we spend money on it, even though it has been proven to be a piece of trash. Now, I know there are some of you out there that like the game or that have been enjoying the game, but that doesn't change the fact that the overwhelming majority evidently do not feel that way. And with all the server merges that have been going on, it is clear that the active player base has declined by a substantial number. And when the developer themselves openly admit their game underperformed, there's no way you can defend them or the game at this point. But that's just Throne of Liberty. Let's take a look at Blue Protocol. Before we do, though, I want to take a moment here to thank our incredible patrons over on Patreon who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos on MMOs like this every single week. You guys are phenomenal, and I cannot thank you all for the support. First and foremost, Video Games Chronicle, and a lot of actually news websites have reported this. Bandai Namco reveals that it recently canceled 5 games, saying it plans for stricter
96%.
quality control. This is after the publisher reported a 96% drop in year-on-year profits in its game division. A 96% drop. That is an astronomical number. I honestly don't think anyone can contest the fact that clearly they are in a bad state right now, and if Blue Protocol were a larger success than it has been, they probably wouldn't have suffered as severe a drop. Navigating on over to massively OP though, Bandai Namco has disclosed its fiscal year third quarter financial reports, and it looks like things are not going well for the developer and publisher, as its operating profit for its digital entertainment segment took an 8.9% hit to net sales compared to the same period last year, and a 96.5% drop in income.